What's up, guys? Big Papa Drock back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Guys, we got to talk about Siege, guys. We got to talk about Siege. It's going to be a short video to the point, but it's something that I want to draw attention to because it's kind of, frankly, it doesn't really make much sense what this video is on today. Well, the video makes sense, hopefully, but the issue I have with Siege is a problem that needs to be fixed. So what am I talking about? Why am I saying that Siege is broken? Well, you could point to matchmaking issues or things like that, but this is a little bit different. So let me just set the scene for you with what my issue is currently with Siege. We in IPR happen to be facing one of the other top clans, Mad. Great guys in there, great clan in Siege. We face them basically every 2 Siege battles. So it will go like, we'll face Mad, then we'll face somebody different, then we'll face Mad again. And so I think we faced them 5 or 6 times now. And we won, let's see, we think we lost we tied the first one, then we won 2, if I remember correctly. Then we have tied the last 2, but have actually lost because of the way that tiebreakers work in Siege. And that is the subject of today's video, because the way tiebreakers work in Siege is absolutely stupid. And so I'm going to explain why it's a problem. So when you go into your battle report and you look at your battles, you can see here, this was our most recent battle with Mad. And you'll see enemy teams defeated over here 68, enemy teams defeated over here 75. So they defeated more teams than we did. Interesting. But the score is exactly the same, 51-50, 51-50. We each cleared each other's board. They did it in fewer turns, so kudos to them. That definitely is something that shows that they knew what they were doing with some of these teams. But here's the thing. We actually had a higher win rate overall. We actually sat down and calculated our wins versus their losses, and we ended up with a higher win rate than Mad, but we lost. And really what it boiled down to was this enemy team's defeated stat right here. And so you might be asking yourself, wait a second, if you guys have equal scores, you cleared the entire board, how did you only defeat 68 teams, whereas they defeated 75? And this is the problem. This is the problem, because basically what Plarium has done is they incentivize you to not repair any building. That's right. It makes no sense to repair buildings, because what it does is it allows you to put more teams in there, which means the enemy team that you're facing gets more attack scrolls, because for some dumb reason, the number of attack scrolls you get in Siege is based solely on the number of enemy teams that are in buildings. So why does this matter? Because it leads to situations like this, where Mad ended up beating more teams than us, even though if you look at all the wins and losses of this battle, we had a higher overall win rate than they did. So we won a higher percentage of our battles or rebattles or whatever else, but it didn't matter because they ended up defeating more teams because they didn't have as many teams in buildings. They might have had lower level buildings, or they might have buildings that weren't repaired. As you can imagine, this is really stupid. Your winning a siege battle or losing a siege battle should not be based on the number of teams you defeat. That doesn't make sense. It should be based first and foremost on your win rate. Who wins the highest percentage of battles? I firmly believe that, because that's the team that won the highest percentage. Like any other sport, the highest winning percentage is what typically determines a team or a victory or standings or whatever else you may have. But we're not doing that in Siege currently. This needs to change. The other thing too is, frankly, who gives a shit how many turns it took you to beat a team? Why is that remotely important, in my opinion? Whether it takes you 1 turn, whether it takes you 1,000 turns, the same outcome is there. It's a victory or it's a loss. You know what I mean? Style points shouldn't matter in Raid Shadow Legends. If you follow college football, that was one of the big things back in the day when we were looking at BCS bowls and who would get an invite to the national championship. Was like, did you beat a team by 10 or did you beat them by 30? At the end of the day, who cares? You won or you lost. So this is something, in my opinion, that needs to be addressed. We need to base this off of overall win rate, as in how many losses do you have versus how many victories on your teams. Secondly, the amount of keys you get cannot solely be based on the number of enemy teams that you face. Like, they have to figure out a better way to do this, because it incentivizes you to not upgrade buildings or to not repair them, which, as you can see right now, that's exactly what we're doing. Why would we repair these buildings, which leads to more teams, which leads to more keys and more chances for an enemy team to beat us and have a higher overall team win rate? Or not even team win rate, but a higher number of teams defeated. Like, you see how it doesn't make much sense here? The other thing too you could hypothetically do is you could literally choose to fill none of these posts or put one team in each post. And if you're going to end up tying at the end of the match, guess what? If they only beat 10 teams and you beat 50, you're going to win that siege. It's just dumb. You know what I mean? This mode has so much potential. I've talked about it in previous videos, and it's just absolutely shameful how much they have hung this mode out to dry. And look, all kudos to Mad. They won by the rules in the last battle. Like I said, we've beaten them twice. They've beaten us twice on tiebreakers. And then we had one initial tie before tiebreakers ever came into being. So at the end of the day, we're 2-2-1. Like, we're pretty much even in record now. But this just doesn't make sense, man. Plarium, look, you want to incentivize people to upgrade buildings. You don't want to penalize them for it. You don't want to incentivize people to fill every single building. You don't want to penalize them for it. And as of right now, that is what you are doing. You are literally penalizing clans that upgrade buildings, that fill them out with teams. It doesn't make any sense, and it needs to change. So I'm curious, have you guys run into this problem where you've had a tie with another clan? I don't know how prevalent ties are for clans that maybe aren't in the top 5, top 10, but I'm really curious if you've run into the same issue, because this is now the second time this has happened, and it just doesn't make logical sense. Win rate to loss rate should be the ultimate determiner if you are in a tie battle. That is it. And for the love of God, don't base the number of keys you get to attack people solely on the number of defenses they put up. All it does is it limits that team. It screws that team over. So anyway, that's my video for today. Super short, super quick, but this mode really needs serious help. We need to fix this. We need to make it based on win rate. For the love of God, Plarium, we need a battle report that actually shows the teams that have won and lost on certain areas. We need a literal log of stuff that is crystal clear, that is not buried in going into something and hitting defense reports and hitting another thing. Like, no, just give us a centralized log that we can easily look at so people know exactly what's going on. And then finally, just one additional thing I'm going to request, please, God, get some freaking video in here. Make this interactive, make this fun for people to watch in your clan, and for people to create content on, and for people in the other clan to watch. Whatever, who cares? This mode needs a lot of help. Anyway, there you go. Rant over. Hope you have a great day. Let me know in the comments down below if this makes any sense to you. Most of you probably don't give a rat's ass about this. I totally get it. It's Siege. Nobody really likes this mode for the most part. So anyway, love y'all. Have a great day. Like and subscribe if you enjoy this, and I'll catch y'all later. Big Papa Drock.